Professor Eric Martin here. Welcome, history students. And I thought what we would do is just spend a little time together on this video recording with me talking to you about the syllabus. Because we could be pressed for a little bit of time on the first day of class. And this is going to free up however much time it takes. And that time can be used for you to ask questions about the syllabus or for us to do other things in the class. So I just thought this would be a cool way to do some of this. So let's just get to it. Syllabus. First part involves what class you're in. It's History 101. I don't know why you're watching this if you're not in History 101. Sections 1 and sections 2. I teach 2 different sections. Everything's the same except the time. Let me mention about everything being the same. I've tried to leave my syllabus as close to the same as it would be no matter what format this class was going to be in, just because that's me. I didn't want to change very much. That's what makes it seem normal to me, is a normal syllabus. We'll see how it works out. The next part of the syllabus is just letting you know how to contact me. Now, as far as the phone number goes, that's the phone number to my office. Maybe you get lucky, but realistically, that's going to a voicemail. Now, the good news is that voicemail goes straight to my phone. So it's not like I won't hear it. All right, so feel free to use it. Emails, sometimes they're easier. Here's the thing about emails. Please use the inbox in Canvas. I'm the kind of person that likes everything in my brain to be kind of compartmentalized. I like my History 101 emails in a spot. I like my emails from my faculty colleagues in a spot. I like my emails from some other class in a spot. It also gives you a receipt, right? That you say, hey, Professor Martin, I sent that, that to you through the email. And it's like, all right, well, let's just take a look. And you can just show me in Canvas. Well, here it is. And that's easy. Okay, office hours. First, let's talk about what office hours are conceptually, and then let's talk about a little issue we got going with them this semester. Conceptually, office hours are times when me or any of your other LCSC professors are hanging out in the office waiting for you to talk about the class, right? You didn't understand an assignment. You don't understand exactly what you're supposed to do. Almost anything you could think of that would have to do with the class. I don't quite understand how to study for this. I wasn't, my book, something happened to it. That's the kind of stuff that you would go to office hours for. I can also imagine people going to office hours if they feel comfortable with the professor. Hey, you know what? College is a little different than it was in high school. I was looking for some tips on how I might be able to be successful in college. That college transition. So please use your professor's office hours. At one point in time, I made an effort to try to require everybody to come to at least one office hour of mine. That was semi-successful. I will say this, I really encourage you guys to show up to my office hours once in the first 2-3 weeks of class. All you have to do is introduce yourself. Hey, I'm so-and-so. I'm showing up to the office hours as you asked. I'll take it for there, all right? It's not going to take 5 minutes. We'll just talk for a minute, get to know each other for a second, and that'll make showing up for office hours when you need something from me a little easier. And it'll also help me and you to put faces together. Now, here's the trick with office hours this semester, though. My office isn't big enough for me and you to be in it. So, all my office hours are either going to be virtual, probably all virtual. Maybe we figure out a way for me to have them outside. It kind of depends on how LCSC has set things up by the time we see what the finalized version of campus looks like. But mostly these are going to be running through Zoom. I will put up my Zoom office on my syllabus. The thing is, it's not going to be kind of like a recurring meeting. Well, it is going to be like a recurring meeting, but I have one link for it. It's going to be the same every single week. And I haven't put it up yet because I wasn't sure what that link was, but that'll be up. Now, when will my office hours be? Well, they're going to be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, typically, from 10:30 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. That's when you can bank on being able to talk with me. And if that changes, I'll let you know. Now, what the syllabus should say, oh, it does say it, and by appointment. I realize those are limited office hours. You need to meet somewhere, some other time, just let me know. I'll meet you on the weekend if it's convenient for both of us. That's one of the nice things about the virtual setup. I can meet you in the evening if it's convenient for both of us. Nice thing about the virtual setup. Typically on Mondays, before noon is going to be good. Typically on Fridays, before noon is going to be good. Typically on Wednesdays, before noon is going to be good. I'm available at all kinds of other times. I just don't have them all in the syllabus. So just shoot me an email if you need to talk to me. Hey, I need to chat with you. Is such and such a good time? I'm flexible. All right. Now, my quote from Dune. I love Dune. I love the movie, the David Lynch film. I love the books. If you don't think you like science fiction, try Dune. And if you don't like Dune, you don't like science fiction. That's great literature. I'm going to read the quote out loud, though. Many have marked the speed with which Muad'Dib, the main character, learned the necessities of the desert planet Arrakis. The Bene Gesserit, the witches who were teaching him special powers, of course, know the basis of his speed. For others, we can say that Muad'Dib learned rapidly because his first training was how to learn. And I'm going to stop right there. I know it sounds ridiculous, training to learn how to learn. But that's really what this class is about. And I'll go into that in just a minute. Course description. Well, it's world history, right? World history before 1500. So we're going to talk about everything that ever happened before 1500, right? Wrong. Listen, that is the description of the course, but that is just too much. We are going to have to be selective. And as you will hear me say many, many times this semester, one of the most important tasks that a historian has is determining what to leave out, because most of it you have to leave out. So, what are we going to leave in? What we are going to do is we are going to look at a number of historical problems and historical questions. Okay, that's going to be my approach. I like a problem-centered approach. I like a question-oriented approach. And whatever the questions are that we are dealing with for any particular week will be questions that require us to look at the history of multiple places at once, a global lens. That's the world history part, right? Looking at a global lens to figure out what happened. So, the development of cities, urbanization, right? We're going to need to look at cities in a few different places before we can come to any conclusions about what that whole experience of urbanization was and is like. The role of quote unquote barbarians in world history. We're going to need to look at a few different people who are deemed uncivilized and therefore barbaric before we can make some kind of a statement about what that means. So world history is really the lens we use, and you're going to hear me use this metaphor a lot, a lens. Okay? If we were photographers, most of the history courses you have taken in the past have been with a telephoto lens. The history of the Civil War, the history of, you know, even just, broader history of the United States, right? We're using the wide angle lens, and it's a different lens. It's not a better lens. I think it's important for you to learn how to use all the different lenses in the camera bag. Speaking of which, the underlying assumption I work with in this course is that in order to understand our global present, you need to have some idea of how to understand the global past. So we are going to spend time. See, I don't have the fanciest way to highlight this figured out yet. Figuring out how do historians know this stuff? And how can you, as a historian, and for the hour and 15 minutes you're in this class twice a week, you guys are historians. I think it's important for you guys to understand, how do historians go about selecting evidence? How do historians go about figuring out what's a good interpretation, what's not a good interpretation? How do they put it all together so they can say, this is what we think? Yeah, I take it for granted that this is potentially the first history course you've ever had taught by someone who's trained in all this kind of stuff. Maybe you got lucky in high school. Um, but a lot of us wind up with someone who's, kind of given a textbook. Maybe they're not an expert in the field, and as a result of that, the best thing they know how to do is ask you to memorize things. That's totally reasonable in terms of the knowledge base. We're going to do something different. All right, we're going to do something different. Now, there's a whole spiel in this document about general education. You guys read it. All right, I'll give you my spiel as the former 3-time chair of the Gen Ed committee. General education is important. And you need to be thinking about questions like, what does it mean to be a generally educated person? And what is the difference between your general education and your major or your minor? And how does your general education connect to your major or your minor? That stuff is important. You guys can go through all this stuff about competencies and all these things, but I'll give you my spiel. General education, whatever the general education course is, should be teaching you, back to the Dune quote, to learn how to learn. We're going to work on this class in terms of learning how to learn history so that you can teach yourself history for the rest of your life on whatever the topic is you get interested in. And in order to do that, you're going to have to learn how to think analytically. You're going to have to learn how to apply historical theories and concepts and categories. You're going to have to learn how to work with conflicting interpretations. You're going to have to learn how to understand a specific event within a wider social trend. You're going to have to learn how to convey that information on a piece of paper. You're going to have to convey that information orally. Should all sound familiar. That's the stuff you have to do just to negotiate life. So the other part of it is your general education courses, and History 101 will make you a better whatever major. This class will help you in your other classes. You are going to learn academic skills in the course. You are going to beef up your academic skills in the course. You're going to be a better whatever major it is you decide to become because of this class. And your other gen ed courses should be doing that for you too. All right, let's talk about the books for the class. Books for the class. One book for the class. This one, Kevin Riley's Worlds of History. Volume 6. You got to have the 6th edition. There's 7 editions of the book. Only volume 6 is going to work. Now, there's free copies of this book available over at the bookstore. No, at the library. So go over to the library. You tell them that you're enrolled in a course that has a textbook that the college provides, and get that all worked out. Now here's the deal. It's a first come, first served basis. Last year I ordered 50 copies of the book. I am not certain how many of those copies made it back after the end of the semester. I hope they all did. So go take a look. If you're not able to get it free from the library, the rental's not expensive. The actual book itself is not that expensive, but I know books are expensive. It's the only book we're using. It is a different kind of book, and for anybody thinking to themselves right now, oh, I'm not going to need the book, this is the point in time that if we were in class, I would ask one of the students who was in my another class from me, the 102, and say, is it possible to do you need this book? Do you really need this book? And one of the students who's taken History 102 would say, it is impossible to pass this class without the book. And I'm just telling you that straight up. The book is super cool, I think, because it's not a typical history textbook. It does not start with in the beginning and move through time and bring us to 1500. It is a selection of it. There's a historical question that's asked for each chapter. Each chapter has 6, 7, 8 different documents. Some of those documents are primary sources. We're going to talk about that the next time we meet. Some of those documents are secondary sources, and you'll read them all, and then you'll put the puzzles together. This is your evidence, right? And our class discussions are going to be based around the documents in this book. The reading quizzes, we'll talk about in a minute, are going to be based on the documents in this book. And your formal essays are going to be based around the documents in this book. This entire class is based around the documents in this book. All right? So that's what you need. This business about the Praxis study guide, this is only for education majors, and it is just to let you know that the material in this class is on an exam that you'll have to pass for certification. So, you might as well take a look at that exam. I've got additional resources here on how to write an email, what the Writing Center can do for you, the Writing Lab over at Purdue, Career and Advising Services, Student Counseling Center. You guys take advantage of that stuff, but I'm going to keep on moving to the stuff you're really interested in, and that is how do you do well in this course. Grading and evaluation is fairly straightforward. I'm a simplistic math person. I got the class divided up into 5 parts. Each is worth 20%. One part is class participation, just discussion, right? And 4 thought pieces. I'll talk to you about the thought pieces the next time we meet. They're real simple. We're talking about 500 to 750 words. That's 2 to 3 pages on a question I give you based on documents in this book. All right? I'll show you how to do it. Map quizzes, worth 5% each. We'll talk a whole lot more about this on Thursday. All right, map quizzes. Random pop quizzes over the assigned readings. Those are going to come in a few different forms. You will always be allowed to use any written notes you have for your pop quizzes. The quizzes will always be over this material. And there's no one that dislikes the pop quizzes more than me. But I have discovered that students do not always respond to the carrot. So we have pop quizzes. And then finally, 2 formal take-home exams, each worth 20% of your overall grade. And the take-home exams, now I'll flip down here, are 4 to 6 page typed double-spaced essays. The questions for those are already up. I'll show you where those are at. They're based on the evidence in this book. And my idea behind this system, and it's a system, my idea behind this, right, is you read what you're asked to read. You come to class and you talk about it. Maybe even you take a quiz over it. You do some thought pieces over the material in here. And then you write some formal pieces over the material in here. It's all supposed to be interconnected. It's all supposed to be reinforcing each other. It's not supposed to be a whole bunch of different assignments. Okay? You guys can look at the details of some of those assignments, and we can talk about that in the Q&A if you want. Also, have a little faith. I don't expect you to know how to do any of this. I don't expect you to know history. I don't expect you to really know how to do much of this. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to teach you how to do this. And, you know, you've signed up for the program. So I feel like it'll work. So don't get freaked out. You know, once in a while people, you know, oh my gosh, you know, I'm not a very good writer. Yeah, of course you're not. But you'll be a better writer when we're done here. You'll be better at thinking about these things. You can do it. And my job is to show you how. All right. You guys can go through that stuff. A few other things. Late work. You guys can read it on your own. I'm not into late. It happens once in a while. If it happens to you, make sure it happens once in a while. All right? Attendance policy. I'm kind of a stickler for attendance. I like to see your face, whether that is online or in class. But I also know that we got some different kinds of issues going on right now due to COVID-19, and I want to try to chill out on it a little bit. The issue with the attendance is I expect to see you in class unless you're keeping me in on the loop that, hey, my kid's been sick. Hey, I've been sick. Let's talk about the being sick part. If you even think you're a little bit sick, don't come to class. Just shoot me the note. Well, let me back up. We're going to be doing Zoom stuff. Zoom will always be available, so you should always be able to come to class. I can still be a stickler. Hey, all right. You might have a few technology issues. I don't know. That stuff will happen once in a while. You guys come to class. You're paying your money to come to class. Grading scales. You guys can read all about grading scales, all right? I don't want to go into every single little policy we got going here. Academic honesty. Same thing. I expect this to be your work. To me, it's mind-boggling when people turn in a paper that I've either seen before or clearly is not LCSC freshman writing. You guys do your own work. I'm preaching to the choir. That's not going to be an issue with you guys. This part about children in my classroom is from another era in which we didn't have viral stuff and COVID capacity. No guests, no children in the classroom. You guys just do that stuff through Zoom. A few matters of courtesy. Be situated and ready to go when class begins. I like to start on time when we can. Turn off your cell phones. I get it. Sometimes you need a call, right? And that's all right. It says please only use your laptop. Well, only use your laptop when you're doing stuff with the class, right? This is kind of silly stuff. This part about refrain from doing homework for another class. I did have some joker who sat on the front row about 10 years ago, read the newspaper every day during class. It always cracked me up because I don't know if he didn't think I could see him. He thought that I'd be okay with that. It was interesting. I want to show you one more thing on the syllabus, which is our schedule. And as we are clearly going to need to change this schedule as we go, we're going to need to adapt. That's cool. But what I wanted to show you on the schedule is you've got 2 assignments coming up. They are not hard, okay? But you got 2 assignments coming up. One of them will be for Thursday, and that assignment is located right here. All right? Type a 250-word question or answer to the question, why study history? When I see you guys on Tuesday, I'll talk to you more about what I want from that. Your first thought piece is due on September 3rd. That's like 2 weeks into class. It's not hard. It's 3 pages typed over chapter 1 in Worlds of History. And that is what I got for you on the syllabus. You guys take a closer look at the syllabus and show up on Tuesday with any kind of questions you have about it. Start cruising through the site. The only thing that's not really clear on the website, I think anyway, are the map quizzes. Your terms are up there. I'll explain a little bit the next time, Thursday, about how we're going to do that. But you guys start checking that stuff out. And look at that. I took 27 minutes, probably 30 minutes by the time I stop. And that frees up a ton of time for us to talk about other things on Tuesday. So, thanks for watching the video. Thanks for being in class. Looking forward to seeing everybody. And we'll see you on Tuesday.